Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the League of Europe. We are here for round number 11 around the Azerbaijan circuit, the Baku City circuit. My name is Jacob, of course, taking you guys through this as always, and joined alongside me as always, Mr. QVR Verstappen. Yeah, how are you doing this evening?
Hello everyone, indeed. Welcome to Division 2 of League of Europe. I'm doing well at the Baku City Circuit we are this week, so we're in for an interesting race. You never know how it goes in real life. It's either always very boring or of way too much happens. So we'll see which one of the two we'll get, and I have a suspect feeling that it's going to be the latter.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think we're going to get a bit of an interesting race, that is for certain. I'm going to quickly just run through the top 10 in the standings for yourself, just so you guys are aware of who is what. Of course, last week, Timon did manage to take his first win of the season. Rick finished second, and Ben JS finished in third on the podium as well. And then Killer is our championship leader still at the moment with 135 points to his name. With Dari in second and Luke in third. It was really not a race for the champions last week. Kriko, I think, kind of got away with a bit of a blessing with that. As I said, the top three in that championship really did not have a good race around Hungary. Kriko's still in fourth, with 113 points, only 3 behind Luke. Rick is now jumping up to fifth with 98 points to the Finn's name. Slash is in 6th with 90 points. Larkin in 7th with 78. Ben JS in 8th with 75. Nolan in 9th with 44. And RJ rounding out the top 10 in terms of points with 39 points. Also finished in 10th last week, interestingly enough. So, yeah, there's still all to play for. We still got another 6 more rounds after this race, but it's obviously 7 rounds because we're still just about to start this one anyway. Anyone in particular that could be still a candidate within this? Obviously, as you said, as I was saying before, you got the likes of Slash, you got the likes of Rick, Larkin, Ben JS. They're starting to perform a bit more now towards the latter stages of this season. Anyone that you think could slip up within that top 4 as well? Because it's looking like it is still a battle with those top 4, but more are creeping in.
Yeah, I think especially Rick is the one that I feel like could get in there. He's only 15 points behind Kriko, obviously, and about 37 points behind Killer. So I don't know. Right now, we're not really loading into the lobby. Could just take a while.
Oh, I think you might have a problem because I'm actually in the lobby.
Okay, right. I'll try and restart my application then. But yeah, as I said, Rick is the one I see maybe getting in there. Slash has his phase as well. I just think he needs to pick up some consistency here and there.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a certainty that, Slash and Rick could, as I said, with their consistency, have the opportunity of being able to try and improve and getting themselves within that top 4 fight of this championship. I feel like towards the end of this championship, there's either going to be about 6 different drivers that are in contention of it, or there's only going to be about 2 different drivers that are in contention of it. Either way, hopefully we'll be in for a very, very good end to the rest of the season. But whilst we are waiting for Yer to make his way back into the lobby, I'm going to ride on board at the moment with, I believe, Lynx, who will be our first person to cross the line to start a lap around the Baku City circuit, as I said, for Division 2. Of course, in that Alfa Romeo, he's started to perform a bit more recently as well. Obviously, other than last week, where he did have a bit of an abysmal race and getting lapped, I think, by lap 16 or something like that. Looking to try and improve on that one for this for tonight. So coming up in towards turn number 1, braking just around the 100-meter board. Nicely done coming out of turn 1, not getting it really that much or any wheel spin either. Braking again just before the 50-meter board, and Lynx driving very nicely around those 2 90-degree left-handers for turn 1 and turn number 2. DRS now wide open, of course, now trying to get in towards turn number 3. This one can be a bit of a dodgy braking zone. You can either cut this too wide or you might cut it too short sometimes. Little bit of oversteer from him as well on the exit of that. Now through turn number 4, keeping it in, or just still shifting it up into 3rd gear. Nicely done from Lix. 35.2 in the first sector. Now probably what the trickiest part of the circuit is that small little chicane. If you try and ride that out exit curb on the right hand side, then you could be a bit in trouble and definitely cost you quite a lot of time. Now coming through the castle section of the circuit, this is definitely the trickiest part of the circuit, I shall say. But Lick's driving that very nicely, trying to minimise the amount of track that he has taken with that, and did that very, very nicely indeed. Now coming up towards the end of sector 2, of course, the downhill section can definitely catch out a lot of drivers from that. Just scrapes the wall ever so slightly. I don't think he got himself any damage from that. So Lick's is going to continue on with his lap 1:16.1 through the second sector. So let's have a look and see what he can do, as it's now just plain sailing all the way up towards the finish line. Of course, he will have the RS that will be enabled for him very shortly, but as I said, there's no really braking zones for that. It is just a straight line. How quick is Lick's in a straight line? And it's looking very, very quickly. Of course, mine is in the BTEC of miles per hour, 216 miles per hour. He reaches up to a 40.2 for Lick's in the Alfa Romeo. Not a bad time to start off with, and we'll see if anybody else is able to try and improve on that. Yeah, how close are you to getting in?
I'm actually in already, as I see Ariel Felipe with a 140 flat getting in on top. And yeah, as I said, I'm in the kilometers per hour, so you'll have two different measurements throughout the remainder of this session. See Larkin just starting his lap at a point. Foxy coming across the line, 140.6. He'll be definitely looking to improve on that, as his teammate goes into P3, slash into P3 there as well. So they're all just exchanging positions for one another. Retify just lost in behind his teammates. And I think it's QVR Keller who is next across the line. Yes, it is. 139.8. It's 2/10 on the AlphaTauri Felipe and into provisional pole position.
Yeah, nicely done from Killer. Chucking it, as I said, the first one into the 39s and getting himself on pole so far. Luke, one of the other championship protagonists, is making his way up towards the line. It's not going to be in the 39s. It's a 40.4 for Luke in the AlphaTauri. So Lick's time to start off with was pretty decent. As I say that though, Rick straight on top with a 39.4. The Finn really is trying to redeem himself throughout this season. I think he probably thinks he's not had the best of starts to the season, but now he's trying to end it on a very strong note, and already 3.5 tenths up ahead of one of the championship protagonists, or our championship leader, shall I say. Rick is definitely going to try and look to, well, play a part in this one for certain. As I was just running on board of Miami, there was a Aston Martin out of turn number 1 going into the wall. I think just too much oversteer. That was Bunty as he was just starting his lap. He now has no front wing and is just going to be trying to cruise back to the pits as quick as he can with no front wing.
Yeah, very peculiar incident. I just got the end of it, and looked quite interesting. Not sure what happened. As RJ has actually retired from the session. I'm trying to find where that is, and I can't seem to pinpoint it.
I can't seem to find that either, to be honest with you. It just says he's in the pits, so I don't know what had happened with RJ, if he just didn't want to bother doing qualifying. I'm not too sure. I don't think he had a qualifying ban.
I don't believe so. So, you know, we'll have to see about that later. Maybe we can get some confirmation. One way or the other. Looking around if there's anyone on a lap. Can't quite find anyone. I don't think Chum is about to start one. So I think that might be the best one to go on board with, as he's just making his way down towards the start-finish line to start his lap. Into turn 1, 347 kilometers, 48 kilometers an hour. Breaking into turn 1, goes very, very deep. And actually nearly hits the wall there. We'll see if he keeps on going, but that can't have helped his Titan whatsoever. He just seems to keep going. Coming in, down, out of towards turn 2 and now down towards turn 3. DRS is open, obviously. And breaking around to 100 meter board. You can carry a lot of speed through here. The curve on the inside is now flat. Down towards turn 4, 50 meter board on the left hand side is your marker there. And down towards the sector 1 split. Let's see how much of that is impacted this time. 35.6 is not very strong, I have to say. And that has to be expected. Going for 5 and 6. Very awkward chicane, like to call it. But make it through decently. The Williams, as it doesn't validate in the inside of turn 7. And I think that will be it for June on this lap.
Yeah, no, certainly is. Jooms just Well, that was it was going to be a bit of a shoddy lap, shall I say? Anyway, and I'm sure June probably knew that as well, especially after that turn one. I'm very surprised he kept that out of the wall. I'm very impressed that he kept it out of the wall, to be honest with you. But yeah, just riding on board with last week's race winner of Mr. QRT Timon, making his way through the downhill part, hits the wall. I don't know if he picked himself up any wing damage from that. I'm sure we'll find out as he comes through this corner. He does go out quite wide, but looks like he's kept it nicely. So, yeah, we'll see what Timon is able to do. Getting a very nice toe from his teammate as well. Licks just out in front, gearing up to start. Sorry, not even start his lap. He's going to make his way into the pits, I believe. Or he will be just looking to start his second lap now as well. So, yeah, Licks, in fact, just starting his lap. Very nice toe from Licks to Timon. 40.3. For Alfa Romeo of QRT Timon, or FVR Timon now. I don't know what tag to call him now nowadays, to be honest with you, but I think he's in FVR, so yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, just good to see his old pace being back there down into P6 with his slipstream. So wonder what's changed there from last week. Meanwhile, looking at IRT Rex, who's coming across the line, only P13. He's had a tough season so far. And that shows once again in the pace, to be honest there. I'll have to look around and see if we can find anyone else on a lap. ERT Larkin is just starting one. So Love Drives are starting just their second run, do you think. Looking around if we can find anyone. I think actually Ariel Felipe must be the first one to be on the lap again.
It'd actually be Litz starting just after, or starting from time. And as I say that though, he's actually back out of his lap. So yeah, it will be Mr. REL Felipe, or Nolan, as everyone does know him by. We'll see what he's able to do. Sitting in P3 at the moment, not a bad qualifying for him so far on his first run, but he's obviously going to try and look to improve that now on his second run as he makes his way up towards what I normally call the final corner, because the rest of it is just flat out, and he's 2.5 tenths up on his time. So this will put him at least up ahead of Killer, but that was a massive bit of understeer coming through that final corner, and then a bit of oversteer as he's exiting out of that as well. So we'll see what he's able to do through the fast left and right, and of course up towards the line. That might have cost him a tiny bit of time. However, I think there still might be an improvement. As I say that though, yeah, he has backed off. That is that time done for him. He's not going to be improving on that time just at this present moment. He's still got at least one more run to do. I think a lot of these drivers, if they're not on laps already, only have one more run. Slash has gone very, very wide as he's making his way towards the downhill section.
Yeah, of course, that corner is very much off camber, so it can catch you off quite a lot. So that showed there. ERT Larkin, I think, is the next one. I didn't quite see his flip time. Let's see where he's going to end up. He's coming through 18 and 19. And then obviously this little king that is called turn 20. Not quite a corner, I have to say. Let's see where he comes up to. The McLaren DRS is open. See if he can get himself maybe among his teammate up at the front. Not quite, but he does still get himself to P4, so not all too bad. 140.2. Rectify is in behind. He's 2 tenths up. Coming up to the line, 140.1. Gets himself to P4. So seeing the same process repeat. Evans is only going to go P15. Not quite a competitive lap. And Killer, he actually improved, but not quite in position. Gets himself within a tenth of Rick.
Yeah, it definitely is, but Rick is improving on his time as well. He's a 10th up on his time. Ben JS, I believe, is just coming... no, sorry, not Ben JS. Doom, I think, is just coming up to start his lap as well. So the Spaniard will see what he's able to do, see if he's able to get a proper lap on the board for him. But Rick is just making his way up towards the line as, yeah, Type goes up in a P3 just behind Killer. Rick, across the line, nearly 2 tenths up on his time, a 39.284. Very, very good time indeed from the Finn, and hopefully he's able to try and convert that within the race. As I said last week, this is probably one of his more preferred tracks, so I'm intrigued to see how he's going to fare on within this race. Miami, I think, is going to be the next one across the line, and he's 2.5 tenths up on his time as well, so he's looking to try and maybe get involved in the mix. It's very close, it's very tight-knit from 4th all the way down into P14 from, ironically, from the two mates of Nolan all the way down into Coxey. As Miami across the line goes up ahead of Larkin into P7 and 40.182, and I know those two are definitely sitting in the party, and I'm sure Miami is definitely boasting the fact that he is qualified or out-qualified Larkin at this present moment. So yeah, I'm sure Larkin's probably not going to hear the end of it until maybe the final stages of this qualifying. We'll see what he's able to do.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, as of right now, Rick just seems to be quite a bit clear of the rest of the pack. I'm looking around to see more games coming up towards the last corner, and now the DRS zone to set his first lap. He's not set a lap time yet, so let's see where he can get himself up to in the Haas. 140.7, only P15, ahead of his teammate and Evans, and in behind that was Schum, who actually went up at the P4. So good to see that quick time there from the reserve, who's in the Williams for today. Good to see.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we also missed it. I think Luke also improved on his time at 40.065, just slotting him just behind his teammate, and between his teammate and Reservoir as well. So Luke also needs to try and make a bit more of an impact on this championship if he wants any hopes of being able to stay within it. Of course, Gary down in 13th position, not exactly having a good qualifying. Killer, our championship leader, in second. Luke, the person that's sitting third in the championship, in 6th, and Kriko again not here tonight. So yeah, this could be a bit interesting. According to Killer, by the way, he's just actually put in the chat saying that he did that lap with very light green wing damage. So 39.5 with wing damage is very, very interesting to say the least. I'm going to go on board with Felipe though, because he is currently on a lap at the moment, a little bit out of sync with the rest of the guys. Slash, I think, is also on a lap. Just started his lap as well. So we'll see what any of these guys are able to do. I think Doom, and I believe that might be more games just behind him, might be able to get one more lap on the board. But yeah, Nolan, I think that's actually nearly 4 temps up on his time. So as he's making his way now up towards the line, with of course DRS is going to be enabled for himself as well. What time is he going to be able to put on the board? With that 3 temps up, or at least jump ahead of Doom. Is it going to be anywhere close to Tope and Killer though? Let's have a look. As in fact, he bails on that lap despite being that much up on his time.
That must mean he thinks he has a lot more in that. Otherwise you don't do that. So, brave call there, but I do respect it. I'll have to see if it does pay off for him. RT Rex is on the lap in behind, I think. It was slightly up on his time, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him bill. Although he doesn't have much time to get back into the pit, so I'll have to see if he can actually improve on his time, but I think he's going to go into the pits. Yes, he is. So we have to get on board with Ariel Slash, who's 6 cents up. Going out of turn 16, a little bit of oversteer there, and out for the Flat Kings of 18 and 19. We'll have to see if the Alpine can get himself up towards the top 5. 6 cents will be around P5. Maybe if he has a bit more in the last sector, around June's time. We'll have to see for the Alpine. Across the line, the Ariel driver goes 139.7 indeed into P5. 300s behind June.
Very nicely done from him indeed. Larkin, I think, is going to be our first one to complete his final lap as well. So we'll stick on board with the McLaren driver as he makes his way up towards turn number 3. Very nicely done through there for himself. This first sector is where he's really going to benefit, just because it's going to be a lot easier for him to get the traction down. So we'll see what he's able to do within this first sector. 35.1, 2.5 tenths up on his time. So this will put him at least up ahead. And Nolan has to say that though, he has a massive tank slapper out of turn number 6. So yeah, I think Larkin might bail on that lap. I don't blame him if he bails on that lap and then recharges that battery to go again on that final lap. It looks as if he's still actually going, although say that, yeah, no, he has definitely bailed on his lap. So yeah, he's going to be looking to go for one more after that. I think, no, it's not Rick that's actually going to be finishing a lap first. It's actually going to be Coxey. Ariel Coxey, who was actually in Division 1 from and has moved into Division 2 since, was it since this week or was it since last? I think it was this week we moved him down into Division 2. Is that right?
Last week we couldn't race last week, so this will be actually his debut for Division 2 as he gets very close to the wall on the inside of turn 3 there. Going then into turn 4, 4th gear, looking quite decent here from Mario Coxey. Down towards the first sector split, 2 tenths up. I think he's got a lot more time the rest of the lap. We'll see, going from 5 and 6, looking fairly decent. Flips the curve a little bit, not too bad there. And then into 7, cut the inside a little bit, seems quite nicely done. And into turn 8, 9, 10, 11. And now into 12. This traction zone is very important, very difficult as well, as you can see there for the Mercedes, and just has a tank slapper and has to abandon his lap, try and regain ERS, and hopefully for him he can go again. Evans is in behind on the lap as well. He's quite a bit up, 1.2 seconds, as you be expecting, as he goes a bit too deep on the brakes, very deep on the brakes there, and smashes his wing off. So I think that'll be it for Aston Martin here.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we've got our current pole sitter at the moment, Rick, 10th up on his time again. So Rick is looking to just try and, move his way away from the rest of the grid. And he's going to try and do this to start off with, as the final runs are now coming into play. That is now done on time. June couldn't get another lap on the board, so he is going to have to sit in P4 for now. But that time could drop. Slash as well is another one. But Rick up to the line. A 10th up on him, a 10th improvement on his time. It's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to try and beat it. And as I say, that killer has actually gone round out of what I call the final corner. As I said, a lot of it is just very it's just flat-footed on the accelerators. So yeah, killer, he's not going to be improving on his time. Darius just come across the line and put it into P8. In fact, an identical time to Mr. Luco 5HD, who he's ironically fighting in the championship, so it couldn't be any closer between the two of them. But Luke is up on his time, and by nearly half a second, this could put him up ahead of QVR Killer. Up to the line comes Luke, and it's actually only into P4. It looked as if that could have been challenging with Killer, but just under a 10th behind him as Miami goes up into P8. Nolan, I think, just comes across the line himself and goes up into P3. Now splitting Killer and Tope. Killer, I think, got away with it so far, but as I say, that Tope is coming up to the line himself and jumps up ahead of Killer. So Killer now down into third. Rick, a dominant pole position so far. In fact, I say that, I think Timon is just making his way up towards the line, and no, that he's backing out of that one as well. So yeah, Rick, very, very dominant in this qualifying. I think that's the first time I could say that, because I don't think he's actually had a very dominant qualifying performance ever. So Rick, if he can transition that into the race, I think we can only see this really going Rick's way. Tope in second, Killer and Nolan on the second row, I think is going to make for a very interesting turn one for certain, yeah.
I don't think it can not be. Yeah, this looks like a very interesting grid. Obviously, you got lights of Luke, who's a championship protagonist, in behind as well, and obviously his teammate is just ahead, so they'll be trying to work together. And then June, for his own chances, is there as well. So it's going to be very interesting at the front here. But what a mighty pole position by Rick, and that's 3.5 tenths dumped on everyone's head. I have to say, that is very impressive.
Yeah, no, it certainly was. What a time that was from Rick. So I'll run you through just the rest of the qualifying standings. Top 10 all within a second. I think that might be the biggest margin that we've had in qualifying so far. But Rick on pole with Tope in second. Killer and Nolan, as I said, lined up on the second row in third and fourth. Luke in fifth. June in sixth. Slash in seventh. Miami in eighth. Dari in ninth. Reza Firing out of the top 10. Larkin in 11th. Lix in 12th. Timon is in 13th. Bunty in 14th. Renz in 15th. Coxie in 16th. More Games in 17th. Rex in 18th and Evans in 19th, and then RK, we still have no idea what happened to him, but he's starting at the very back of the grid. I've just also realised More Games has changed his PSN, but took out the YT in his name, and that was about it. I don't think that was worth the £7 of a change, but I suppose each to their own. It's up to him if he wants to change it, he can, but yeah, I don't know if that's worth the £7 of that, but yeah, down in 17th is More Games. He's not had too bad of a season so far. I've got to admit, I think there's been quite a few instances he's been caught up in. But in terms of his actual pacing, he's not exactly been the quickest in the division. I would say he's been relatively consistent, though, I've got to say. Like, despite there being, as I said, despite him not being quick at all in this division, you know, he's usually finished sort of around, anywhere between sort of like 8th and 12th, at least picking up a point in majority of the races so far, and he's sitting down in 14th in the standings with 22 points. He's only really, he's only 17 off of RJ, who's 10th in the standings, so I suppose there's that little battle with the top 8 all trying to sort of go for that championship, and then everyone else just trying to pick up that, I suppose I'll call it the silver trophy, or the rusty trophy, shall I say, for that P9 spot, and Nolan's currently leading that.
Yeah, I mean, he has a chance to get a good lead in that today, as really qualified in P4, so there's a good chance. Let's see the tyres here, I'm quite curious about it. And that is very, very interesting, I have to say. They got a good majority of the top 10 at least on the mediums, but Rick is starting on hards here. from the front of the grids. Now, I've seen this one before in Division 1. We had Joe Bream starting on the hards with a similar situation. He was in P2. So, and he dropped down quite quickly. Rick does seem to have a bit better pace in productivity. So, see how much he can hold on. And going further back on the grid, we have Dari on hards, Timon on hards, and then all from 15th to 19th all on hards, with the rest all mediums. No softs in sight, and I don't think we'll see them very soon either.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we'll see anyone on a set of the soft compound attire, but Nolan just trying to claim that he is leading a lap in Division 2. He's just got kind of just driven off on the formation lap. So expect him to have very cold tyres as he makes his way in towards turn 1, which could cause a little bit of carnage, but might end up paying dividends for his teammate just behind him in the end. So yeah, Rick on the hards with Dari as well. I know Rick, as you're saying, was very dominant in qualifying, but I don't think the hards were really the best option for him to go with. I think really he needed to try and go with the mediums, go with a faster tyre, just so at least then you've got that advantage. And I mean, we've seen this in Division 1, Division 3 throughout tonight. The amount of safety cars that have played into hands of both of those divisions, I'm not going to be at all surprised if we see that tonight as well. And if there's an early safety car, all those medium runners can go straight onto the hards. Rick won't have a leg to stand on, and like you say, it didn't really work out for him in Australia. I can't see this working out for him tonight.
Who knows? He may be proven wrong. We might have a very clean race with nothing going on, which very much surprised me, I have to say. But it's definitely an interesting call, and I have to see how it pays off for him.
Certainly do. So everyone's just making their way up towards the line. Yeah, I've got to ask you for a prediction. Who do you reckon's taking this one?
I think Rick, after all, is still going to take it. I'm going to say Killer in P2 and Luke in P3.
Go for quite a standard podium or such. I think someone throughout that field is going to make their way up. I've got my hopes in Dari. I might even have my hopes in Licks or even Timon, because he could try something completely out of the blue. So I'm looking at one of the two, both of those Alfa Romeos to try and do something. But we're now about to get this one underway. We've got 5 red lights down for round number 11 of Division 2 in Season 8. The lights are out and away they go. Didn't even realise Tope's car was completely pointed over to that left-hand side, but Rick getting a very good getaway in comparison to everybody else behind him. Killer now trying to move his way up into second. Tope pinching him almost up towards the wall. Looks very clean so far through turn number 1, through everyone. Now through turn 2, we might start to see a bit more carnage ensue. Doom trying to go up the inside to Slash in towards turn 2. I think the Spaniard has gotten that move done in the end, but Slash is trying to use his ERS to try and stay up ahead of Miami. Miami might even be trying to attack the relentless driver down in towards turn 3. He's going to try and look for the move. He has gone for that move. Slash tap in the back of Doom ever so slightly. Miami now trying to line up alongside Slash going in towards turn number 4. Slash will have the inside. Don't think Miami's already got a leg to stand on with that. And that is move done. As I was saying, we may need to look at one of the Alfa Romeo drivers as well. One of them has unfortunately dropped it, and that is Licks out of turn number 3. But a very clean start so far, which is really surprising me.
Even Licks was completely on his own, actually, so there's not actually much contact involved. Didn't see much damage either. And speaking of the Alfa Romeos, Timon has made an absolute wally of his starts. He's on the hards, and he's into P10. He's heading in the back of Larkin, who's in P9 on the mediums. And he is looking like he wants to get through the field, so he might have some pace here. I have to see about that. Looking behind, Darius had a bit of the opposite start. He's down into P13 here. Rick is obviously still about holding on, but I think Tope and Killer, they see an opportunity. They want to get through as soon as they can and try and drop this Ferrari. Simon has saying that. Actually.
Yeah. And Dari as well. Yeah, both of them having that spin out of that final corner. Dari, I saw literally they were just following each other, and Dari, unfortunately, on those hards as well. One of the championship protagonists now deeply in trouble because he's got to come into the pits and he can't take those mediums to the end. He has to at least make another stop after that. So Dari has now got to be banking on a safety car to come in. I think Larkin might have also picked up some sort of wind damage because he's already dropped out 1 second from his good friend Miami just out in front of him, and I can't really see the reason why, to be honest with you. I saw Timon was trying to sort of pressure him in coming down on that downhill section, but unfortunately, yeah, don't know what's happened with that. More gains as well. quite a bit away from turn one, has actually had a spin on the exit of that. So I think in the Division 1 stream, I think Larkin and Killer were both saying as well, like, because you're running such low wings around this track, it's the traction on this is ridiculously difficult. So I'm expecting to see a lot of spins and a lot of people oversteering as well, trying to correct the car as such. And as I say, that Bunty goes up into P12 now, up ahead of the IRT driver of IRT Renz in P13. So Bunty now up into the points. Of course, the race winner, not last week, but in Australia. Yeah, in Australia, sorry. So looking to try and maybe at least gather some more points on the board for himself in that Aston Martin. But at the moment, Rick is not getting away from the rest of this group as much as he probably would have wanted to.
I don't think it's possible to actually do that on the hard tires. So I think where the point where he is right now, I don't think he'll be too disappointed. He's still leading, obviously, but not by a whole lot. So Taupe and Killer are both on about 3/10 of the next car ahead. And Taupe is actually using Rick as well, trying to defend this and see if Taupe can actually go for it. He is committing to it. It looks like he is, but he can't quite get close enough. And Rick is just saying that Taupe passed the lap of the race so far, but you can see how much they've gained on Killer, who's not using. And these guys both have drained about 30%. Have a look as RJ is getting past on Rick on turn one. Have to see if anything happens at the front though. I think Slash has actually dropped it out of turn 2, and that is not good news for the Alpine. I think he might have damaged some sort of damage as well, not too sure.
Not too sure, but I was about to say Killer and Nolan both going at it as well too for now. I don't know what had happened with Killer. I just saw him drop back quite significantly. I don't know if our championship leader currently has wing damage as well, but he has already been dropped from those top two. So Rick, I mean, he was hoping that you'd get away from the rest of them on those hards, and he's actually done wonders with that so far. So I think the only thing he's now got to hope is that there is not an early safety car. If there's one that comes out around lap 12, lap 13, then he might have an opportunity of still being able to take the mediums to the end of the race. But yeah, Rick is now, I think, at a bit more of a comfortable zone now where he's not getting pressured from anybody else. As I say that though, Killer is starting to gain back onto those top two. So I think it was Killer just had so much ERS, he couldn't get those tyres up into shape, and now he's starting to use a bit more of that ERS he needs to be able to keep within DRS. Otherwise, he's going to be caught up by Nolan, and then that's that done. Basically, he's going to more than likely lose that P3 position, but he's managed to climb himself back into DRS, so he's managed to keep with that top two. Miami, in fact, going past June before the fast left to right in that final sector. Miami now also out of that DRS. I don't know if June let him by or what, as Evans is having a spin out of the final corner. June is now going to be trying to go for this move. Taupe as well, getting that move done on Rick in towards turn number 1. But yeah, June getting that move done on Miami. Taupe is now also our race leader. And Bunty, interestingly, setting the fastest lap of the race. Oh,
let's see, Recify going very deep and Bunty going for a move on Coxie, and Aston Martin gets a clean lead done there down into turn 1. That's quite peculiar that he's got the fast part of the race. Must have had a DRS thing here. That's Evans with a 5 seconds penalty for speeding in pit lane. He lost it out of the final corner. And yeah, I think the move from Miami onto June before the actual stray, as we have more battles going on. Actually, RJ getting past on Renz and Slack getting past on Rex, so Slack must have gotten away damage free. I think the move from Miami on June though must have been a moment from June himself, and that's why Miami got through there, and somehow it kind of paid out for June in the end, because he was able to get back through. I'm looking at the front here. Most of these guys still have a decent amount of ERS. Obviously it's only lap 4, but it goes through quite quickly here if you're not able to stick with. So it looks like all these guys seem fairly matched on pace. Recify is the one struggling a little bit down into P9. He had a moment into turn 1, getting a bit deep. As you see up front though, Killer is on the back of Rick, and he might be able to get a move done.
Yeah, as I said, Rick on those hard compounded tyre, of course, they're still trying well, those mediums will definitely still be the better tyre at the moment, but Rick is doing a very nice job of just keeping up with Taupe, just to make it that much harder for Killer, as Evans going around just before the castle section. Bit of an interesting place to lose the car, but yeah, as he has done there, so very unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver. But yeah, it's all just sort of running single file line at the moment. Those top three still very close within each other. And in fact, I'm actually going to go on board with Rick because I think Rick might be eyeing up a move maybe in towards turn number 3. Tope got him on this last lap. Killer as well could also be eyeing up a move on Rick just out in front of him. And as I say that, he might actually do that. But yeah, Rick is using his ERS. He wants to try and get away from Killer just that extra bit more and try and close up that gap even more to Tope just out in front. But yeah, it looks as if there's not going to be any moves done at this present moment. And of course we go again another lap whilst we're just waiting for all of those guys to make their way up towards the to the final sector. Resify not got that much ERS to play with either, as well as Coxey. So Bunty in a bit more of a prime position to try and maybe even catch up to those top 8.
Yeah, he looks to have some sort of pace right now, and obviously that was kind of proven by the past lap he said. Bunty himself doesn't have that much ERS, but might be enough to catch up, who knows. And obviously at the same time, Rick's in the prime position for himself. If he has one medium runner up ahead carrying him along, requiring him to not spend any ERS, maybe save his tyres a little bit, this is the best position Rick can probably be in, especially around the track like this, as long as he can stay with the Red Bull throughout the remainder of the lap where you don't get the DRS. That is good enough. We was getting close to Killer throughout turn 15, but not quite able to get through and get close enough, so I don't think we'll see any moves unless Rick is deciding to go back through. Don't think so. Larkin looks actually going on for a move on Miami, down towards turn 1, towards the finish line, going the outside. See if he can make this one work under the brakes. Actually, he's fast and through before the braking zone even happens. Bunty was going very close to the Resify, but not quite a move either. He has to wait maybe down towards turn 3 to get a move on.
Yeah, let's have a look and see then if anybody is going to go for any sort of move. I don't think Miami's going to try and challenge that one at all. Timon and Licks both changing positions, so Alfa Romeo is just trying to play a bit more of a team game to try and catch up to the rest of the field. Yeah, Bunty not going to be able to go for a move on Resify either, so just has to sit behind the Alpine again for just another lap for this present moment. But yeah, at the moment it's all, as I said, just running single file line. Of course, we're only on lap number 6 of 26. It feels like this has actually been going for quite a bit of time so far, despite it only being lap 6. I think this is probably one of the longest circuits, obviously, on the F1 calendar, so that's probably why it feels like it's already gone on for quite some time. Of course, next week we have actually got the longest circuit on the calendar of Spa, so yeah, that makes that just that ever better for us. But yeah, at the moment, all just sort of running single file line at the moment. I think the closest one to each other is Larkin and Miami. Miami, of course, just got overtaken by Larkin on that last lap. I was, oh yeah, no, yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. I think Tope has been pushing looking at the DRS as Timon has spun out of turn 12. Yeah, Rick has basically been dropped. Let's see, the DRS detection zone is for the kink of turn 20. And it looks like Tope is actually, yeah, he's draining his DRS to try and get away from Rick. And it is, if this works, it is very smart to play. Also, Felipe is losing touch to Killer a bit, and Killer might be looking for a move down towards, I think, down towards turn 3, you might see a move from the McLaren as he will obviously see those gaps, and he will try and get in as Rick is actually spun round out of turn 1.
We said it was so dodgy on the traction, and Rick has just proved that for us. He was running in second, very dominant qualifying from the Finn. Now down in 10th. Timon has retired from the session out of the fastest part of the circuit, and there's now a virtual safety car.
Yeah, virtual safety car indeed, and the only reason I can think of that he dropped it there is Lix is actually pitted. That's a fairly smart move as he was quite far behind, so it's one that might benefit of that. Yeah, he must have had overtake enabled. That's my only guess, and I just went a bit too aggressive on it, and yeah, just dropped it there. So we're down to 19 drivers. And yeah, Rick spinning there, that just cost him so much. He will still be fairly close to the train. Of course, the VSC gaps are a bit up and down here and there, so don't take these gaps for complete fact. But we'll have to see. He's still the leading hard runner as DRS is enabled and we're going green again. And he's about 1.4 seconds off Bunty and Resify, and I think he has the pace to maybe catch back up. Up at the front we have gaps that are quite a bit spread out actually. Killer is caught up to Taupe. He's done the virtual safety car restart, I should say, very well. But in behind, both the AlphaTauri is struggling to keep with the car ahead. And in the meantime, we might see Killer going for a move as he's closing up to the Red Bull.
Yeah, he managed to drop Nolan out of his DRS, but Luke managed to get within DRS of his teammates, so he'll be able to at least catch up to that. Here we go, though. Race move for the race lead. Killer down the inside of Taupe in towards just before turn number 1. Taupe, I don't think he's going to try and fight that one. I would say that he tried to hold it around the outside, trying to go for maybe a switchback coming towards turn number 2 as more games actually dropped it out of coming into the downhill section of the track. Doesn't look as if there's going to be any safety car at the moment, but as I say that, no, there isn't a safety car or anything. Reservoir also dropping it out of turn 2 and see if Taupe is going to be able to go for a move again on Killer, and it doesn't look as if he is. So Killer is going to remain our race leader for the time being. Nolan has managed to get himself only just back into DRS, but he needs to try and in this middle sector try his best to get within that 1 second, and so far in fact he's actually done it. In fact, it looks as if Taupe, for some strange reason, is really struggling to keep up with Killer just in this second sector alone.
Might just be due to the level of downforce you're running here. Can be quite important around this bit. I'll have to see who's beneficial on that. I think Larkin's actually the one getting dropped now, so we have more yellow flags in turn 1. Might have been Evans for a slight moment there. It was the only car around there, and Lick was in the pits. But yeah, Killer's basically almost dropped Taupe here. I think Taupe is quite a bit lower downforce. Looking at that traction out of turn 15, and he's just lost basically complete touch with the McLaren up ahead. And I think Killer must have gotten through and clear now. So we have more yellow flags. Juma's actually dropped it out of turn 16. And actually, shame for him, he was actually doing quite well. So I think we'll see the AlphaTauri swap positions here as well.
Yeah, so Luke now going to just go for that move on Nolan. Nolan not going to try and fight that one too much. Quite surprised because I thought Nolan was definitely the quicker of the two. So we'll see what Luke's able to do. Maybe he is the quicker one of the two of them, but I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see with that. Miami and Larkin once again. Again, Miami just looks as if he's trying to push Larkin along. I think if I'm Larkin, I've got to not let Miami through, but at the same time, Miami is definitely the quicker of the two. So I won't be surprised if we see some battles going down. As you can see, that red flashing light on the back of Larkin's car, Miami has got about 50% on his ERS. And again, Miami not just opting to go for that move. Come on, I want to see a gross match between the pair of these two. Again, I know they're sitting in a party together as well, so I want to see these two going at it for sure. But yeah, at the moment, with Miami just sort of opting to sit behind Larkin, they're just losing time to the rest of the top 4. Killer's already dropped that 1 second out of Taupe. Taupe is at 1 second out of Luke. Nolan, again, I felt like Nolan was quicker of the two, but he's almost dropped 7 tenths behind Luke.
That's the case, but I think also Killer has been pushing quite a lot. If you look at the ERS levels, even given we've had a virtual safety car, where they've been able to regain quite a bit of ERS, Killer's pushed out quite a lot, and Taupe as well, as Taupe actually hits the wall there for turn 15. I don't know if he has any damage, but that can't have been good. He just locked up a little bit, and that allows Luke to now catch up, and Killer has a 2-second gap up ahead. I think we might see Luke going for a move, as he smells that Taupe is very, very insecure about his driving as of right now. So we have Evans going around for turn 4. See if Luke can make his move work down in towards turn 1. I think it will even be completed before turn 1. Yes, it will be. Flies on by the AlphaTauri. He's up at P2. Now he has work to do to catch up to Killer.
Yeah, very nicely done. I don't know what had happened with Taupe. I don't think he's picked up any wing damage. It looks like he's still going perfectly fine, but Luke might need to just keep an eye out on behind him, because of course Taupe is going to have the DRS now out of turn 3, but out of turn 2, sorry. But he had a bit of oversteer, which I think is going to cost him and not be able to get the move back on Luke at all. So yeah, Luke now up into second position. Taupe needs to try and go for that move once again. Felipe now back within DRS of Taupe as well. It's a little bit further down. Ren's just making his way into the pits. First one on the hard compounded tyre, interestingly enough.
Good damage.
Ah, okay, right, that makes more sense. Fair enough. Okay, oh, completely ignore me. And then yeah, Ren's into the pits, and ironically fighting with his IRT teammate of Darry just behind, but Ren's is going to come out behind one of the championship protagonists. Darry not having a good race whatsoever, of course, having that spin early on, giving himself full wing damage, and just took off his wing completely. meant that he is now dropped back significantly from everybody else and is now put on the back foot basically because he will have to make another stop. There is no way he's going to be able to take mediums for 24 laps. If you do, then you know what, fair play. You've completely proven me wrong. I'll do a shoe, why not? But yeah, Dari down in 15th, really struggling with that. Taupe out of DRS from Luke as well, so Taupe really is struggling. Nolan, I think we're going to see him moving towards turn 1.
I think the Red Bull has damage here, and just been riding on board with him for about half a lap, and for the castle section especially, it looks like a complete struggle there to even get the car turned in. And I think Felipe smells his chance as Taupe is moving towards the left, and I think he's going to pit. Yes, it is, so let's see if there's going to be any wing changes. Larkin is in as well. Maybe it's just the tires, who knows? But he does just change the tires, so no wing change there. Might be some minor damage, but no, it didn't really quite look as natural as you would like it to look through the castle section anyway. And yeah, let's see if these guys are going to get some sort of undercut, but warming up the hearths around here is not a fun way to go about things, so don't be surprised if we see actually a few of these overcuts working initially.
Yeah, but at the same time, those mediums are definitely going off because look how close Rick is now to the back of Bunty. He's now what I would say is the quickest on the track at this present moment, and obviously I know he qualified on pole, just had that spin early on in turn 1, but he is looking very feisty at the moment, and I feel like it's now definitely a crossover point between the hards and the mediums. Unfortunately for Rick, he's caught Bunty at the worst time possible through the slowest part of the track. Just obviously when he gets to Delta at DRS, he might be able to go for the move on it, but I won't be surprised whatsoever if we see at least 4 of those top 5 come into the pits. Of course, the 2 AlphaTauris more than likely aren't going to double stack, but I won't be surprised if we see at least 4 of those 5 in that top 5 come into the pits at the end of this lap. I'm going to stick on board with Rick though, as I think we might see a move from Finn coming in towards turn number 1. In fact, at that DRS zone, shall I say, because I feel like Bunty might come in at the end of this lap. He's done very well so far this lap in terms of keeping his tyres intact and doing some good overtakes as well as the Aston Martin. So let's have a look. Anybody coming into the pits? Killer has not come in. Bunty looks like he's making his way in. Nolan is in as well. Miami also follows in. So only Killer and Nolan haven't come in. Sorry, Luke, it was the other one that came in. Sorry, not Nolan. So Nolan and Killer are the 2 that have opted to stay out for one more lap. In fact, Bunty didn't actually come in. He's staying out for one more lap as well, interestingly enough. However, you can see the difference between those mediums and those hard compounded tyre. Just in the traction alone that Rick got out of turn number 2. Just so much more confident on that accelerator in comparison. And again, we'll see it here as well, just how much Rick can get on that power much quicker than those guys on the medium tyres. So the mediums have definitely gone off for the rest of them. And you can see that time also coming down from Rick, just so much more smooth, or just looking a lot more smoother, and not really having any oversteering moments, and already gaining on those top 2. So I feel like they may have left it a lap too late. Those hards are definitely going to heat up. Larkin's jumped ahead of Miami again, and is only 2 seconds behind Taupe.
Yeah, Taupe's on the back of Luke himself. Well, he was more than a second behind when he pitted, so I think this undercut has actually worked for these guys that hit on the last lap, on lap 10 actually. So I have to see if Taupe can actually get past Luke and how much Killer is going to lose, and how much Felipe is going to lose as well in comparison to maybe Larkin even, who's not too far behind. Yeah, I reckon we see Killer and Felipe coming in basically this lap. It can't be any other way, honestly. Maybe someone will prove me wrong.
Well, yeah, you're being proven wrong because Killer's actually staying out for another lap once again. Nolan is into the pits, so he is making that call to go for that undercut. But Killer has stayed out. Why is Killer staying out?
I think it's because he sees where Luke and Taupe are, and if we look at it on track, he has Rex in front of him, and of course June was there, he's now gone in, but he sees the traffic and he's like, I don't want to be stuck behind that. So I'm just gonna hope that these guys get held up as Luke does actually go for the movement. Rex hits the wall on the exit there, and that's gonna hold up Taupe a little bit through turn 2, as I reckon Rex might have some slight damage. Renson another fast lap of the race. 2 laps in a row there. Let's see, Taupe wants to get through very quickly. Rex goes defensive towards the inside of turn 3. It looks like Topaz has one completed on much better tires, and he's up at the P6. Let's see, what is the gap between Killer and Luke? It's 20.3 seconds. About a pit stop is, let's say, 17, 18, and obviously you got a counter in the warm-up phase as well. So I don't know if this is the right call for Killer. I think he could be called out a little bit here. It's a very interesting call anyway, but of course if you have a safety car at this point, then you are settled for life. So get that free pit stop completely. So that might be a slight bit of the gamble, and just because he had the gap, he's been able to do it. And for Bunty's case, I reckon it's just maybe more of a, well, I'll just get the better tires at the end then, and hope that works. We have a yellow flags. Actually, I think that's Miami's going round out of turn 12, and he's just trying to get back underway there. So he's dropped down all the way down into 13th, maybe 14th, as Reservoir is approaching quite quickly here. Surely this lap, Killer must go in, and yes he does.
Bad time he has come in. And got a 5-second penalty for speeding. Lix is also coming in the pits to retire. Killer might actually get held up because of that retired car. I've seen this happen before. There is a chance that he could get held up because of Lix's retired car at the very end of the pit lane. I think he has managed to avoid it, but Evans also just coming out of the pits and has been lapped. Killer coming out of the pits has managed to stay up ahead of Luke. So that overcut has worked for him so far. I also just saw briefly, Nolan was also, did tap the wall on his outlap on those hard tyres, and he's really struggling on these. Larkin might even try and go for a move very soon. In fact, maybe even in towards turn 3. Let's have a keep on board with that. As in fact, no, Larkin's not exactly close enough to getting a move done, so Nolan does manage to stay up ahead of him at the moment. But that undercut for Larkin has worked like a treat so far for him.
Yeah, definitely. He could even be in a shout off the podium positions here. So the gap to his teammate is under 5 seconds for now. We'll have to see if Killer can actually try and get this 5-second gap. He does look like the quickest out of all of them so far, but Luke didn't look like he was far behind on pace. We'll have to see if Killer can recover from this. Taupe is the one struggling still to keep up with the AlphaTauri, as Luke has now originally dropped him out of DRS and is trying to get in the DRS of the McLaren up ahead as well. And that could be very vital here for Luke 05 HD. If he can cling on to the back, there's no chance Killer can easily just break that DRS and get through. As Evans is up ahead, but I don't think Killer is going to get any DRS from that. But it might be proven wrong, as DRS detection point is about here. Let's see, I don't think he gets DRS here, and I don't think it's close enough. As we have Rick and Bunty in on the same lap here, and Rick is still one to look out for, I reckon.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. Even despite him having that early spin, there is still that opportunity that he could be in for a very good shout of that. Evans has retired from the session in the pit lane, so that's him done. Miami must have picked up damage as well on his spin, because he came back in for his set of the soft compounded tyre. So he's now back out in 16th position, maybe just trying to go for fastest lap on those soft compounded tyres. But I get the feeling we might see him, in fact, come into the, or maybe even try and go, pit again, maybe allow him lap 20, lap 21, and go for another set of softs to the end of the race. Or he might just come in now, chuck on another set of the hard tyres and just go from there. But I think if I'm him, just try and get some sort of points out of it. Or I say some sort of points, but at least to try and just get something out of it in the end. Maybe just go on both sets of soft tyres and then just go from there. I think that's what he's doing. So, yeah, very unfortunate, because he was running very, very close with Larkin. But the gaps that are going on here, no one other than Rex and Darry are within DRS of each other, which is very annoying, because it's not going to make it very good for us. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just look at the gaps. They're like all about 1.2, 1.1, 1.4. Nolan's managed to claw himself back into DRS only just, but again, that could also change when they come up towards or when they go through turn 19 on the kink of turn 20. But yeah, I think, I don't know what's going on with that. As I say that though, in fact, actually Killer has just gotten himself back into DRS of Coxey, and Coxey doing what he did best in Division 1, looking to try and do this again in Division 2. As I say that though, in fact, he actually just comes into the pits, so he has just given Killer DRS. His Renz is out at the last corner.
And that's a full core safety car. And this is perfect for Coxey, I have to say, but this is the worst case scenario for Killer. As that 5-second penalty is now going to hurt him so much. He either has to pit and surf it and try and just recover from there, or he is completely screwed, as you could like to say. Coxie comes out in P8, P9 just about, behind RJ. And I think this is the perfect case scenario for Rick to come back through this race. He was not too far behind Luke, who was basically in professional lead given Killer's penalty. And he was about 7-8 seconds behind. I checked that. I was going to bring that last lap. But yeah, as that now becomes far less relevant, as he has a better tyres, he'll be able to make it to the end. And it's just about making his overtakes, and we'll see if he can get those done. And I think it'll also be interesting to see who actually decides to pit from here.
Took the words right out of my mouth, I'm not going to lie. So Rick is in a power position here on these medium compound of tyre. Miami's come back into the pits to chuck on his hard tyres that he went on originally. So a good thing for him at least. He will be caught back up to the back of this pack, and at least still have the opportunity of at least fighting for some sort of points haul within this race. So, yeah, it was a very strange collision or a very strange crash of Renz again out of this final corner that Killer and Luke are just coming through now. Are we going to see anyone maybe make their way into the pits? I think if one comes in, then the rest are also going to just sort of barrel in, but they can't exactly go for a set of the softs as Reservoir gets a drive-through for speeding under the safety car, interestingly enough. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm keeping on board with Killer. Killer is in. Luke's following him in. So are these guys all gobbling on a set of the softs to the end then?
Felipe's not. I reckon. It'll be very interesting to see what sort of tyres they go onto, because the softs are. It'll be very difficult, and now obviously Killer's going to get held now with this 5-second penalty. We see softs for Taupe, softs for Luke, softs for Killer as well. Felipe, Rick and Bunty and also Coxie predictably have stayed out. I think the people on the mediums, Rick and Coxie and also Rex in the end, they're going to be in a prime position, and Recify, obviously with that drive-through, he's going to fall right out of there after the safety car ends. Yeah, all of these guys have gone on to a set of the softs, and it'll be very difficult to even make those to the end. I think they'll just about make it. 10 laps though, which of a few under safety car conditions have to be said. Ooh, this is going to be very interesting.
We're going to see Nolan and Coxie both on the in the pit in the podium, aren't we? I can already see this happening. The stars are aligning. I can see this happening. Rick's going to win this, Nolan's going to finish second, and Coxie's going to finish third, or either way, and Coxie will finish second, Nolan will finish third. I'm seeing the stars align with this already. I'm already thinking of what I'm going to ask them, because I can already see that this is going to happen. Those softs are going to be dead at the end of their race, and I don't think Luke and Type are going to be, well, as much as an effort they're going to put up with it. And interesting enough as well, when they've come into the pits, they've actually split Resify in between with Killer. However, Resify, of course, has that drive-through, so I don't know if he's going to... I mean, if those guys on those softs actually drive away on that safety car restart and Resify manages to hold up Killer for at least even 1 or 2 corners, then it's already curtains for Killer to the point where he's now going to have to try and catch up to the rest of them. I think his only saving grace is that the guys in front of him are still on those medium and hard compounded tyre. However, those tyres aren't going to last very long, and in fact they might even go past their peak under the safety cars. So I feel like those I don't think that was the right decision to come in for the softs. I would have just stayed out if I were a pair of them. Killer's the only one I can understand that came in because he had to serve that 5-second penalty, so he's now not got that beaming over his head, and he's gotten that served, so at least he can now just drive away to his heart's content. But the rest of them, I feel like that was a bad mistake from him.
I don't know, because obviously if you're still in P5, you're going to have quite the advantage at the start, but then again those mediums are just going to be in a prime position either way. I think either if you stay out in the hards, and you have to have everyone committed to stay on the hards to even hold those softs up, because obviously if there's only a few drivers, it's very easy to, hold the mediums up, I should say. It's very easy to get through, as Rectify is actually gone straight on at turn 2. I think just to let everyone through. And Angelicus has gone off track. That shouldn't cause any sort of issues. But yeah, if you're... I do get why some of these guys have pitted and have taken the gamble. I just don't know if it will be the right one. I think either way, Rick and Coxley, them two are definitely in a prime position here.
Oh, that's for certain. There's no doubt about that. Rex as well. Those three are in a very good position within this race so far. Miami didn't actually pit, whereas Doom and Darry made their way into the pits on that last lap, so they may still have a bit of peak performance in those soft tyres. Like I said, Luke, Tope, Killer, Larkin, RJ, Slash, they won't have those the peak performance in those soft compounded tyres anymore. They're probably already sitting at around, I don't know, I want to say 7% on their soft compounded tyre already. So they've already got, as I said, they've gone past their peak performance. The safety car should be in at the end of the lap as everyone has caught up to the safety car. As I said, Darry, one of the championship protagonists, interestingly enough, is the one sitting down in P15 at the back of the field. So Darry's it's looking less and less likely that Darry's going to be scoring any points. Of course, being on the softs, anything can happen with there still being 8 more laps as well. Anything can happen between these guys, but yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some trouble go down within these last 8 laps. I can see Rick win this. I can see Coxie win this. I don't know who's going to... But I don't know. It's one of those two, in my opinion. I think because of how he's done it in qualifying, I think Rick's going to win. But if he does what he did at Turn 1 again, then I think Coxie's winning this race.
It could very well happen, we'll have to see. And it's going to be very interesting with Felipe leading the restart here. He's going at a very quick pace, you have to say. Let's see where he actually does decide to go. He still has to wait, because the safety car hasn't come into the pits just about yet. Keeping a high pace is keeping everyone alert, I reckon. And still waiting. He's keeping us on the hold for long. Rick is waiting. There he's gone. There he's gone. And he just about keeps ahead. As we have Miami and Rectify dropping towards the back. We have Luke going for a move from Coxie, not quite. Rex and Larkin going side by side down towards turn 2. I think Larkin got that move done. Rex deep on the brakes there. Leave enough space down. Larkin goes round the outside down through into P8. Obviously these softs are still going to be the better tyre for now, but not for long. RJ and Slash in behind in 10th and 11th are side by side. RJ round the outside of turn 3. He's going to be able to make that one stick. I think Slash has got more traction on the inside there and stays ahead in P10. Assume is actually looking opportunistic around the outside of turn 4. Very well done, and RJ just loses out on 2 positions there.
Yeah, definitely caught RJ off guard. I was running on board with that, and I don't think he was expecting his teammate or his temporary teammate, shall I say, to go for a move like that. So nicely done from Doom. Oh no, Luke has gone round. Luke has gone round. I think he might have just been tapped in the rear by Killer. I could be wrong, but I think he might have just gotten a slight tap in the rear from Killer as he made their way close towards the castle section. Luke is now down into 14th position, losing out on any sort of DRS. He'll probably gain that back, but those tyres are now going to be dead for him, and that's going to give him a less likely opportunity to try and get at least any sort of decent points haul, because those tyres, but from having that spin, they're now going to be quite hot for him. So yeah, Luke now definitely in trouble for getting any sort of points within this race. Slash maybe opting to go for a move on Rex sooner rather than later, as well as Rick as well. He is closing up to the back of Nolan, still just right on board with Slash, because I think he might end up going for a move as just before the little kink of turn number 20 gets the move done. Very nicely done. We move to the front of the field now. Rick going for this move on Nolan. Nolan tries to squeeze him up towards the left hand side, but Rick goes for the outside. Nice done from Rick. Rick now up into the lead of this race. Killer closing up to the back of Coxie as well. Coxie's not been able to make gains on Bunty. He needs to do this ASAP. Of course, no DRS until the next lap, so we'll see if he's able to try and hold on. Slash dropping down behind Doom as well. Slash now down into 10th. I think had a bit of a moment.
Yeah, I think just went a bit too deep into turn 1 and had to slow down to preserve his front wing. Killer is looking for a move on Cox, but he's not able to get quite through down towards turn 3 and has to stick him behind for now, and that's just going to cost his soft tyres more and more. To see if he can get through on the Mercedes anytime soon, but it doesn't look very easy. And yeah, in the meantime, Rick is looking like he's going to pull away. He's already got 6 tenths and 9 tenths from Felipe to Bunty as well. So I think these couple drives are going to, break apart a little bit in the next lap or 2. And then it's up to the guys in behind with the first tires to get past. We'll see how many people can actually do that. But yeah, Rick's already got a 1.2 second gap there, and I think there's no stopping him unless he makes himself stop him. So yeah, the Finnish driver doesn't look like he is going to win. In behind will be very interesting for the podium then.
Certainly will. It certainly will. Yeah, Rick, as I said, I think the only one that's going to really stop him is himself. So yeah, he just needs to be careful that he doesn't do that same mistake he did in towards turn 1. That might be even ingrained in the back of his mind, that he's got to try not to make that mistake. But of course, as I said, no DRS at this moment. There will be, though, as soon as they cross that line. And Killer is using that ERS that bit more just to try and close up to the back of Coxie. Coxie, I think, is also using his ERS, and you can see that red flashing light on the back of his car. Rick setting the fastest lap of the race so far. Coxie really needs to get this move done on Bunty. However, annoyingly for him, Bunty is staying within DRS of Felipe, so Felipe is going to be able to just hold on up ahead of him. Killer is just looking so close to the back of that Mercedes as well. And then we go there, both using that ERS. Killer wants to get his move done. Down towards turn number 3. Ryan might even try and go a bit defensive in towards turn 3. No, he's not. Killer looking to go for that move. Not going to get the move done. Had to back out of that one in the end. Coxie just done very nicely just to hold on up ahead of the McLaren driver. And Tope also getting a little bit paranoid because I think he just started to drop back ever so slightly, made I think a slight mistake out of turn number 4, as putting him into the clutches of Larkin now as well. But look at that 2.1 second gap from Rick to Nolan. He's pushed that gap out massively. Nolan is now the leading conductor, all aboard the Nolan train.
Yeah, he's leading this entire pack up down towards, well, you can even count Dari. I think he just made a mistake while he lost touch. He'll be right back in. So all the way down to basically Miami, who's still on his hard tire, just waiting for the Chaos Rock probably. To see if anyone can make a move. As it actually does hit the wall a slight bit on the exit of turn 15. Hopefully for him, no damage there. And Coxie's now getting close to the back of Bunty as well, as he loses a bit of the rear end on the exit actually. And that might allow for Killer, Tope and Larkin to all close up here. This is about to go 4 wide. As Bunty's looking for a move on Felipe up ahead as well. I think that should be a fairly easy one. Killer's going through on Coxie. And I think Tope is now looking to make it 3 wide. And Larkin is closing up as well. Coxie's going to lose 3 positions here. I see Larkin runs into the back of Coxie as well there. And going around the outside. Let's see if he can make that one stick. Goes too deep, Larkin. Killer and Tope are still side by side. And Bunty's going through on Felipe. Killer is still ahead of Tope, just about, yeah, down into turn 2. Let's see if anyone can make a move down to turn 3. Coxie's still alongside the Red Bull of Tope now, actually. And Larkin is only looking once again to get through. Is not quite able to make that one stick. Coxie later on the brakes and should get the move done. Larkin is now looking to undercut onto the Red Bull. And he is going through side by side into turn 4, round the outside of turn 4 now. And now Tope is getting the better exit, and he's trying to get back on Coxie. So these 3 are all spulling out, as there's a quite bit of contact there. Tope goes round through turn 5 and loses out massively.
Yeah, now Larkin trying to go for the move down close towards the castle section. Larkin's going to have that inside. Coxie's not going to be able to do anything towards that. Gets that move done. Bunty as well was also trying to go for a move on Nolan through that. And another side-by-side through that. Miami going past Dari as well. So Miami now up into 12th position. I think we're now starting to see those crossover on those soft compound tyre, because Miami is racing his way through the rest of this group now. So I think this is that crossover point. Tope, unfortunately for him, what it looked like, he might have, I don't know if he turned in a bit too early or if Coxie just went a bit too late on the brakes. It's definitely going to be a student's investigation, and definitely something in the chat after this race. But all I know is that Rick has completely stormed off from the rest of this group, and it's now up to Nolan to try and defend not from 1 but from 2 cars at this point. Bunty, Killer, are they going to go for this move on Nolan? You can already see Bunty is using that ERS to try and go for this move on Nolan. I don't think Nolan's going to be able to put out any much fight on this one. Not even using his ERS is Bunty, though, interestingly enough. I thought he might see a move go for, him go for a move. But yeah, must just be waiting for that turn number 3. And, well, it could prove to be a smart decision from Bunty. 3 more laps left to go, and it's looking like Rick is definitely going to be taking this one. Just who else is going to be on this podium? I still have absolutely no idea. Bunty, once again, not using his ERS, and so many changes going on throughout the field. June dropping 2 positions, RJ dropping a position, June dropping yet another position, so 3 positions. Miami trying to go for a move on Luke as well. It's all kicking off. There's a Alpine that has hit the wall of Slash. Miami and Luke once again both side by side of each other, and oh my god, yeah, they went 3 wide. Miami going around as well and hitting the wall just too early on the accelerator, and I think he's completely lost his front wing now as well. So it was running so well for Miami. I think he just needed to play his cards right a bit better, but unfortunately for him, he just got a bit too eager, I think, in my opinion. And yeah, unfortunately for him, he's now out of that points contention. I think he's just got to pit and just try and go for the fastest lap. Might be his best option, but Yeah, very unfortunate for Miami indeed. Meanwhile, still back up in the front of the field, Bunty and Killer are fighting tooth and nail for this podium spots between those three. I think at the moment Nolan is just doing his best to hold on Bunty, not trying to really try and pressure him too much. However, I think now he's a bit closer than what he was on that last lap, yeah.
I think he is. I think he might be wanting to go for a move. I think Killer is the one needing to get impatient almost. If he wants to get through, he has low ERS. And these guys up ahead are actually quite a bit higher. No one's not defending here, and I think Bunty's waiting for the DRS to kick in, try and go through, but no, he's still waiting. He's actually turned his DRS off, so he's not interested in actually going through here. And I think he just doesn't want to lend any chance to Killer to go through and keep the sauce behind. Luke is getting past on Slash, and I think Dari is now actually going through as well. Looks like he's got the move done down in towards turn 2. Yes, he does. Miami goes into pits after a big concertina effect there out of turn 2. I think it was all because RJ lost a bit of traction and everyone got a little bit confused, and yeah, it started just bunching up a lot, and yeah, we saw the ending of that. Meanwhile, Coxey's getting past on Rex. Rex, I think, making a little bit of a mistake there, down into 7th, but it does look still pretty on for decent points here. I have to see. I think this fight for P2 is very interesting between Felipe, Bunty and Killer. Killer is, with the soft tires, getting worse and worse every lap, every corner. We'll have to try and make this one stick very soon, otherwise I think it is a done move. On the other hand, apart from Rick, he's not losing out much. He is losing quite a bit of traction there on the exit of turn number 12. But in points-wise, apart from Rick, he's not really losing out much in championship contention, so it is a decision whether you're going to risk it or not here.
Yeah, you certainly will. You certainly gain quite a bit on the likes of Dari, likes of Luke. They're sitting down in 8th and 9th. Kriko, of course, not also racing tonight either. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot more that can play within this. It's just this thing. Are we going to see Bunty go for a move on Nolan? Slash dropping it out of the final corner as well. So Slash now going around out of the exit of that corner. And unfortunately for him, well, I mean, it will still at least be a point unless he just decides to retire from the session. But at least a point for the Alpine driver. Meanwhile, yes, Killer is now getting those tyres. You can start to see are definitely going off. The two Williams both going at it. Barry as well as Luke, both very close with each other. But I'm sticking on board with this battle here for P2 because I think Bunty is trying to eye up a move once again on Nolan. Once again, he's just going to sit behind him. I think it's on that final lap. I think we're going to see a move from Bunty, but it might be too little, too late. We've seen this happen in the past. Hopefully for him, it doesn't happen again, but we'll wait and see. As Dari, alongside Luke, down in towards turn 3, both still side by side. Luke put him into the wall! Luke has just gone a bit too deep on the brakes. Dari goes straight into the wall with that one, I think, pinched up against him. I don't know if Dari picked up any damage from that, interestingly enough, because it looks as if his full wing is still intact, but that's definitely on Luke. Dari tried to go for that move around the outside. Luke broke a bit too late, and I suppose you can say that, argue that he could have just given that up, but he's alongside him. He's entitled to be there. Luke, I think that's at fault for him.
Yeah, I think he's just gone a bit too aggressive there, and see if the stewards do anything about that after the race. Still this battle for P2. I think actually Coxey is also in the back of Larkin. That might be one to keep an eye out for, as the sauce from Larkin will be completely shot by now. As we see Killer actually barely holding on to these guys in the hearts, so compared to the mediums, it will be so much worse. Bunty's now going for the move, and I think this is the right place and the right time to do it, because now you drain the AlphaTauri off your ERS, off his ERS, and I'll have to see if he actually goes for it. He's not yet going for it. I think he's waiting. Nolan is defending as much as he can to go into the final lap. Rick still leading. Bunty is maybe going for the move, not down in towards turn 1. He's waiting maybe towards turn 3, and otherwise it has to be a final straight move. Coxey's going for the move on Larkin. Running out of turn 1. Don't think there should be any contents there. As he does get a 3-second time penalty, interestingly enough. And Bunty has gone straight on.
Oh no, so Bunty going straight on. That's now cost him so many more positions. Now Coxey trying to fight for this position with Larkin. Of course, he picked up that 3-second time penalty. Rex is also going for this move. They're 3 wide going down in towards turn 3. Coxey's trying to fight that one too for nail. They're still 3 wide as they make their way in towards turn 3. Larkin hits the side of the wall. I don't know if he picked up any sort of damage from that, but he's now ghosted, so he can just do free reigns as to what he wants, but goes back another position behind Coxey. And Bunty, I think, is also going to go for this move down in towards turn 5. Yeah, they're both side by side, and Larkin's going to have the inside for that corner for turn 6, but Bunty What a switchback that was to get that move done on Larkin. Up into P6 he goes. Despite fighting for that P4, P3 and P2, he's now up into P6.
Larkin actually made another mistake, and I think he must have some sort of wing damage after that incident. So he's down into P10 now, getting passed by RJ and Dari there as well. So he will have to settle for P11, I reckon. But it's going to be Rick who's going to be winning this race. He's come around to find a couple corners.
Yeah, so Rick is, again, dominated in qualifying. Had that early spin into turn 1 on those hard compounder tyre. We thought he was completely out of it and wasn't going to take the win in the end. But Rick, that safety car, I think, has helped him. And he has now managed to prevail. He's on 98 points. He's now up to 123 points. Rick comes across the line and takes the win around the Baku City circuit. Nolan will come home to finish in second. And Killer will take the final podium position. Rex will take 4th. Bunty 5th, and Coxey will finish 6th on track but drop behind Luke, so finishes 7th in the end. Doom in 8th, Dari in 9th, RJ in 10th, Larkin I think might actually have a puncture. I think Larkin's got a puncture. No, he has. Yeah, no, he has. Rear right puncture for Larkin, so yeah, I think for him, those soft compounder tyre was not worth it for him whatsoever. And he only just about scrapes a points finish. Miami will come across the line to finish in 13th, but drop down a position to Tope in 14th. And then, of course, we're just waiting for Reza Fire to finish on that one. But Rick, very dominant performance once again. Not really surprised, to be honest with you. He's now, as I said, from that qualifying session, we thought he was going to win this, but it was not as comfortable as what we thought it was going to be for him.
Yeah, obviously that spin when he was on the hards in the first stint, that has cost him so much time. But then again, the safety could kind of bring himself a bit easier into it. So I guess, yeah, that kind of compromised for it in a way. But he was still by far the quickest out here today, and he well deserves that win. And yeah, it'll be a lot closer now in the championship, and he might actually go for a run here. Who knows?
Yeah, he's definitely got the tools to do it now. 123 points for himself. Killer, of course, going up to 153, if I'm right in saying that. 150 points for Killer now, sorry. So, yeah, Rick has definitely poured his way back into the championship. In fact, he actually goes into 4th in the championship because he's managed to jump up ahead of Creco after picking up that win. So, Creco now down into 5th, and Rick is definitely a championship contender now within this division. So, we'll see if he's able to maybe fight for, well, he's definitely going to fight for this Division 2 championship. The question is he going to be able to get close enough for the end of the season? But at the moment, he is, of course, the one that has taken the win for this evening. As I said, Nolan finishing in 2nd, Killer in 3rd, who has actually just joined us in the party, as you can see. Rex in 4th, from 18th on the grid. I've got to say, maybe might be one of the drivers of the day for that one. Bunty in 5th, Luke in 6th, Coxey in 7th. After picking up that penalty, he would have finished in 6th, but very unfortunate for him indeed. Doom in 8th, Darian 9th, RJ rounding out the top 10, Slash in 11th, as I said, Larkin picking up the final points position in 12th after, I believe, picking up a puncture. Tope in 13th, Miami in 14th, Reservoir in 15th, and then our DNFs of Renz, Evans, Licks, More Games, and Timon at the very start of this race. And as I said, what a race that was indeed. We've got all 3 of our podium sitters in the party already, and we'll start off with our race winner, who made it look very comfortable at the start. Then thought, do you know what, I need a bit more of a challenge, so thought I'd spin at turn 1 and had brought it back up to him in the end. Rick, what a race that was from you. I've got to say, probably one of your more dominant performances I've seen.
Oh, yeah, I'm not as dominant as I wished after the quali. I made it really tricky for me. Yeah, the qualifying was really good. I don't know how everybody else was so far. I thought pole was anyways gonna be low 39s. But yeah, I got a good start. I knew the hards were a pain in the ass to start with. I managed to keep up the pace, but yeah, I just dropped it on turn 1. Was thinking like, yeah, maybe I can salvage podium, maybe. And then the safety car saved me, and everybody pitted. But yeah, I feel like it's redemption for Australia because I felt like I should have won there. But then the safety car screwed me up, but this time it helped me. Yeah, very happy.
As I say, I think karma came all the way around for yourself. As I said, from last week, that happened, and then you managed to obviously take it for this evening as well. So congratulations to yourself for that one. After obviously having that spin in turn 1, Was there, as you was just saying a second ago, you thought just try and sort of salvage a podium, but was there any thought that you think you may not end up getting a podium in the end when you made that pit stop for your mediums at all?
Yeah, of course. I think I should have passed maybe at least three, maybe four guys. I don't remember which position I was in. It was gonna be tough if it was all DRS train, but I felt like the mediums were such a better tire to be with pace, so I felt like I still have a chance. But yeah, I was just hoping to drive cleanly the rest of the race.
Fair enough, fair enough. And then on that, as you were saying about that safety car, was there any intention of you thinking that, I know you had just pit, but was there any thought of you maybe going for a set of the softs, or did you think it was maybe a bit too early and you just thought, I'm just going to need to stick on these mediums and just hope that that I won't get overtaken by those soft runners?
Yeah, exactly. This soft, I felt like, was it like 10 laps or something? It was too long time for them. And yeah, the mediums, I just pitted like 1.5 lap ago, so there was no point in pitting. And I was so happy when I saw almost everybody except Felipe pitting, and it was just a matter of passing him and getting out of the DRS window.
Yeah, no, as I said, that it did work for yourself in the end. Spa next week. I know, as I said, Australia you finished second. Here you finished first. Are you hoping to try and carry on with this podium streak and edge yourself even closer into that championship now?
Yeah, I think I'm within a shot now. Kriko not here. Dari and Luke didn't have a good races. Killer, yeah, on the podium still. I still have a shot, but Belgium, I don't think. I never had the best pace there, but I will try my best.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, any questions for our race winner for tonight?
Mostly about just the last stint. At that point, when you're 2-3 seconds clear, do you have any worry that you're still bound to give it away, even after that spin you had early on in the race? You think maybe I should go a bit easier on the traction here and there, or is that no concern? You just drive off.
Yeah, I wanted to have fastest lap. I pushed the first lap like crazy after I passed Felipe, but after that, once I saw the gap, I think he made a mistake, hit the wall or something, and then he was over 3 seconds. So I was just cruising around, and then yeah, the last lap I was just watching the timing sheets, and I wish I had popcorn. I just saw the different names, probably like 8 different names in top 5. It was fun to watch.
Fair enough. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And now on to our second place finisher, one that I am slightly dreading because I don't know how this interview could go. Nolan, Jack, what a second place that was for you. I think you wasn't expecting. Well, again, you had a very good qualifying session, I've got to admit. But after what had happened towards the start of that race, was you expecting to get yourself onto that podium? Or was you thinking, you know what, I just need to try and help Luke as best as I can? Cool. Okay, I think your microphone is muted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Right. Oh, I was just talking about how I should be in D1 and everything. No, so my season now is just to help out Luke, which is why as soon as he caught up to me in that race, I just let him through. I was actually quite annoyed when he pitted under the safety car because obviously I think Rick would know I was going to be, well, you'll know, you know me especially, I was going to be the biggest terrorist in the world to hold everyone behind so Luke could pull a gap.
Yeah.
But unfortunately Luke pitted because we weren't in the party chat together, so I was raging. But the last 10 laps were hilarious. Just me and Ryan understanding that we might be able to get a podium together, which would have been the best interview ever, but wasn't to be.
I was saying that in this as well. I was thinking that it was going to be you, Ryan, and Rick in this podium interview, and I was not looking forward to it, I've got to say. But
It would have been mint, though, wouldn't it?
It would have been very interesting. I've got to admit. But
There's something funny, right? In the party, Ryan was already talking about what he's going to say in his podium interview.
I honestly, you can ask her as well. I was saying the exact same thing. I was saying, I wonder what it is I'm going to try and ask the both of them because they're both going to be in the podium, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. But unfortunately for Ryan, it just didn't work out for him in the end. Just got completely swamped by a few of the other soft runners, and just he couldn't play that into his hands from that. Yeah,
you can say it's rubbish.
Yeah.
He bottled it. Don't skirt around it. You can say it.
Yeah, no, definitely bottled it. I've got to admit, but yeah, like I'm really surprised he wasn't actually on the podium. To be completely honest with you, yeah, he did. I will admit he definitely did bottle it. But was there any sort of, when you saw that everybody else had pit for those sort of tyres, like after that first safety car, was you thinking, do I also need to try and go for the softs, or was it always your intention? Because I know you're saying you wanted to help out Luke as much as possible, but when you'd seen Luca pit, was you also thinking, shit, I may need to pit as well?
Language, Jack. Come on, be professional. No, I was going down the fucking straight, right? And basically what I saw... no, I didn't react it fast enough anyway, because everyone pit already. But I was just screaming at Luke. I was always going to stay out because my pace actually wasn't great. Like, Jake and that will be able to count. I was making mistakes constantly. Jake probably scared when he almost put me in a wall earlier for dirty driving, but we'll talk about that later, Jake. But no, my thing was always to stay out, and then when I saw Rick, I knew Rick was going to stay out anyway because obviously he was on the mediums. I was never going to fight Rick. His pacing quality was enough to know that he's way faster than me. So the plan was let Rick through, hold him off till DRS, and let Rick through, and hopefully he can tow me along. But he was a little bit fast for me, so I had to just hope that the softs died, which they did, and Bunty did me a great job of being an absolute bottle job, which created a gap for DRS between me and Jake. And I think the softs by then had died. So it was quite comfortable after the safety car because I was told by the people in the party the softs had died pretty quick.
I was about to say as well, what was your reaction when you'd seen Bunty had gone straight on? Because I saw he was up your rear for the whole thing. I
can't stand the guy, so I pissed myself.
Fair enough. Letting it all out in the party, I suppose. But yeah, fair enough. Obviously, it's Spa next week. I know you're going to still try and help out Luke as much as you can for this championship, but are you hoping to, help him out that much to the point where you're also going to be on the podium with him for next week? Or are you thinking, because I said, I know your whole season now, or for the rest of the season, shall I say, for the last 6 races, is just to try and help him win this title, but I think you guys are still in the running as well for a decent Constructors' Championship, so are you hoping to try and claw that one as well with him?
Yeah, we'll try our best. I think Luke told me he's missing 2 races, so it's probably going to be quite impossible. It's probably just already won by some other Mong who will not name, but I'm pretty sure Luke can't win it anyway, because he's not got the talent, first of all. I am the #1 driver. I just thought I'd give him a head start and see what he could do with it, so... The aim now will just be trying to get my first D2 win. That's the hope. I will help out Luke if I can, but I want a win in D2. Because when you look at the list of some of the people that have won in D2, I'm embarrassed that I'm not one of them. So that's the aim.
Fair enough. And yeah, any questions for Jack at all for tonight?
Mostly just how much are you dreading that, the last corner of Sector 2?
Yeah.
How many times did you hit the wall there?
So, I think me and Larkin should have had wing damage about 3 times. I don't know how I didn't. Every time I checked, I didn't have damage. This AlphaTauri team putting in the work. I don't know what my wings are made out of. They should be checked after the race, because I should have had wing damage 100%, but luckily I didn't. And I think loads of times, though, I heard loads of people hit it. My main worry was, the S before the straight?
Yeah.
I kept letting off on the first S. I don't know why, but I just felt like I was going to spin if I didn't let off. So that's why everyone kept getting a massive run on me every time, because I was letting off so I didn't slap the wall.
Yeah, somehow it paid off though, so congratulations on that.
ERS and terrorist wings. Yeah, that's how. I was running 5.5.
Yeah, same as me then. Fair enough.
I think that's more standard wings, to be fair, for a round Baku, but again, it paid off for yourself, Jet. So again, congratulations for taking a podium, second podium of the season as well. So you've taken third, you've taken second. Yeah, hopefully this time you'll take the first one. I'd
argue the 2 most memorable podiums in LE history, wouldn't you? So if you think about it, the title doesn't really matter.
We'll see. Again, it can only get better if you do finish on the top step of that podium. So hopefully, still within the season, it's definitely possible. Spain's coming up, so there's still that chance from there. But
I'm good at Spain.
Exactly, Spain's coming up, so we'll wait and see with that one. But we'll move on over to our third place finisher and extending the gap in his championship lead, Jake Killer. That race for you, I mean, I'll start off by asking, why did you pit under the safety car? Well, not why, actually. I do know why, because you had that 5-second penalty. But when you did pit...
That is why.
When you did pit the actual first time, and obviously getting that speed penalty, was there any sort of thought that was you banking on a safety car, or was you just hoping, you know what, I just need to try and drive away as fast as I can?
See, I thought I could get the gap when I saw that the gap. Once I'd got Luke out of the RS, particularly, I think it was Nolan behind Luke, and I saw the gap going up. I was thinking, if there were like 11 laps left, I thought, if there's no safety car, I might be able to get this gap. I can at least get P2, I think, behind Luke, and I was loving life. Because I'm a reformed man. I've got a new attitude that when I make mistakes, I don't cry about it. I just carry on. My bottles have got better this year, because last season it was a bottle is a crash, and I became quite infamous for that. Now when I bottle, I spin or I get a 5-second penalty, so I'm going up in the world. But yeah, I wasn't playing for a safety car. I was quite happy for a safety car not to come, and when the safety car did come, I was a bit bummed out. And then I thought, well, you know what? I can serve my penalty. It's not too bad. It's not the end of the world. And then I came out in 7th, and I saw Reservoir or whoever it was had a drive through. So I thought, well, if I get P6 and I beat Darry and I'm only like 1 place behind Luke, it's my own fault. I can't grumble. I'm happy with it. But that last stint was particularly interesting. But I wasn't banking on a safety car. I'm rambling too much. Sorry, I wasn't banking on a safety car, but and I wasn't particularly happy when it arrived either.
That's fair. How dead were your soft tyres at the end there? Because you dropped out 1 second from Nolan at one point, and then I think you just about gained it back. How dead were those tyres?
Very, mate. When I was coming through the castle last time, they were on like 75%. And Larkin, then as I was going through the castle, said, "Oh, I've got a puncture." So I avoided the curbs and lost about 8 tenths to Nolan in the last sector because I was too scared to go near any curbs. So they were very dead. The only thing that was keeping me in it was Bunty's refusal to overtake Nolan. He must have been running very high wings or something, because he seemed a lot quicker than Nolan, but wouldn't pass him. But yeah, they were very dead. I said, if the safety car hadn't cut, if I didn't have the penalty, I wouldn't have pitted. So, I knew it wasn't going to be ideal. I knew they weren't going to make it in a good state, but I think I maximised after the penalty. I think I did everything I could, and I don't know if you would have speculated about it on stream, but I had damage since lap 4 in that race.
Oh,
front wing damage. So
I'm showing off.
I know. Well, I'm not flexing by saying I hit the wall, but I hit the wall at turn 3 on like lap 4. Got damage. I hit the inside of turn 3, which is why whoever was behind me would have seen that. And I had damage since then. So
fair enough.
What did you do turn 4, Jake?
I desynced for about 2 seconds. I did the same to Ryan though.
I know. We all know. We all know. By the loud Jake followed by 10 other words. We all know.
Well, you should share them in the commentary booth and see what happens.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I've got some words by Luke as well, explaining that the German couldn't killed me, so that's why he didn't win, guys.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move very swiftly on from that. Obviously, back on the podium again after I think it was like a 2-race hiatus of being on the podium.
It's my first one since Singapore, because France I was second in the sprint, but I was 4th in the race. So it's my first one in 5 races actually.
It still technically counts from France anyway, but we'll go from Singapore just to make it a bit more interesting. But yeah, I said back on the podium again. We've got Spa next week. As I said, I think you've pulled out a bit more of a gap from Darry. I think that he finished in like 8th or something like that. So, as I said, Spa next week. Are you hoping to try and get yourself back on the podium and hope that the rest of your championship rivals sort of just die around you?
I am indeed. I mean, Rick's the scary one now. Darry, I trust that Darry will bottle it at least 3 more times before the end of the season. Darry, if you're listening, mate, I love you. Don't try and prove a point. I believe that you're better than that. But Rick's the scary one. But we run out of street circuits for Rick now until Jeddah, because he's an Australia / Singapore / Baku merchant. But I am currently, as I speak, coming round La Source in some Belgian TT. So that tells you my confidence for next week. I hate Belgium. It's a terrible track. It deserves to rot in hell, at least on the F1 game. I love it in real life. #Safe Spa.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, any questions for our third place in our championship leader for tonight?
Well, actually, I do. After
thank
the
you.
safety car restart, I think coming around towards turn 7, saw an AlphaTauri going right into the wall. Not the one on the podium here, but the other one. Did you see in any way what happened there?
Is this where I did my insane sublime overtake on Dari? Not Dari, Taupe, because I can't remember.
It was Luke actually who went into the wall, or
Well,
it was like
I-
just spun round.
I don't think it was contact. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think he just hit the wall, and then Taupe went deep and ghosted, and I just did the most insane overtake you'll ever see. It was honestly sublime. Like I was dazzled by myself. My talent is just unmatched. But I think he was. Sorry, I made it about me again, didn't I? I think he just made a mistake and hit the wall by himself.
Very false. Very false. Just think about what I said before, Jake. Think about the sentence that I said before.
I forget what happened. I forgot what had happened.
Luke
5
said to
seconds
me,
ago.
and I quote for your journalism, "The German C word killed me."
Oh yes. Oh, so it was Taupe.
So that's your inside scoop.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. And
I'm
as I said,
83,000th in the world at Belgium, guys. I'm winning the race.
congratulations on that. This has been probably the most scuffed interview, I think. At the
I packed
end of a
Ronaldo as
race.
FIFA, lads.
Yeah, it's definitely the most scuffed one. I think we better wrap this up very quickly before anything else gets said. Yeah, any very quickly final closing thoughts for this race for tonight?
Baku remains Baku.
We'll leave it with that. Baku does remain Baku. Make sure you guys
Shout
tune
out
in.
to Commentalist.
We'll go with that. Make sure you guys tune in next week for round number 12 around Spa-Francorchamps, 6:30 p.m. British Standard Time, British Summer Time. Sorry, for Division 1 and Division 3. Division 1 covered by James Head, hopefully back from COVID, and QVR Killer, and Division 3 covered by Jess and Evil Dragon, and then Division 2 and Division 4 at 8:10 p.m. British Summer Time. Division 2 covered by myself and QVR Verstappen, and Division 4 covered by QVR Packer, and if he ever wants to turn up, Mr. QVR Maverick. Thanks to everyone that has tuned in for tonight, and we'll catch you guys next week for round number 12 around Spa.